Anger mounts after lawmakers in Taiwan voted not to roll back controversial legislative reforms. Alarm and a push for change as road accidents involving children rise. Vladimir Putin shores up ties in Asia as Russia faces continued sanctions for its war in Ukraine. Plus, Taiwan's silver medal judoka is determined to bring home a gold this summer. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Betty Chen. Taiwan's opposition-led Legislative Yuan has voted not to reconsider a controversial reform bill, setting the stage for a potential constitutional challenge to the measures. The reforms include giving the legislature the power to summon and question officials, including the president. They've triggered brawls among lawmakers and protests on the streets. As you can see on the screen, this is the stage outside the Legislative Yuan right now, and you can see a lot of people. It's Friday afternoon. They finish work and they just go outside of the Legislative Yuan to join the protests. Reporter Louise Watt has been at the protests. She's been taking a closer look at why these reforms are so contentious.
Afraid for their country's democracy, protesters in Taipei rally outside the legislature, angry over a vote expanding lawmakers' powers.
我很担心台湾会变成第二个香港，对，所以这是这3天我们都会在这里的原因，不单单只是国会扩选这么简单，因为我觉得它就是卖台的起手式，这只是它的第一步而已。
Pushed through by the opposition, the amendments give lawmakers powers to summon people to provide information, including the president, under threat of fines and prison. The discussion has sparked physical fights in the legislature and brought tens of thousands of people out onto the streets in protest. President Lai Ching-te's Democratic Progressive Party, or DPP, opposes the reforms, but with a minority in the legislature, it has been powerless to stop them. The DPP says the opposition rushed through the changes without proper debate and asked that there be a review. But in a vote, the legislature refused that request. A popular move with supporters of the opposition, who gathered outside the legislature. They feel the reforms will allow for better government oversight and help combat corruption.
希望国家能够改革，能够在野党监督执政党。
所有的改革方案都是为了对老百姓有帮助的，所以我们会支持。
Political observers say the government is worried that opposition lawmakers led by the Kuomintang or KMT will use these new powers to score political points.
It's become a very partisan issue, but part of it will also be investigating legitimate questions of how the government executed its powers, how it spent taxpayer money, and this kind of attempt to bring some sunshine to the operation of the executive branch, I think that is a very legitimate thing for a legislative branch to seek to do.
Lai, who's just starting a 4-year term, already faces pressing challenges dealing with China, which wants to take control of Taiwan. Now he has to wrestle with internal difficulties too. His party saying the new reforms upset the balance of power between the different branches of government. But the fight isn't over. President Lai's party argues the reforms are unconstitutional. They've said their next step is challenging them in court, showing how it's anything but a smooth ride ahead for President Lai and Taiwan's political system. Patrick Chen and Louise Watt in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan says it's seeing a surge in Chinese fighter jets operating in the Taiwan Strait. Jaime Okan is here in the studio with an update.
Well, Taiwan's Defense Ministry is reporting 36 Chinese military aircraft operating around Taiwan, but we're going to focus on the 34 that enter the country's ADIZ, or Air Defense Identification Zone. That's this big blue rectangle here that's around Taiwan. Now, the ADIZ is not Taiwan's territory, but the military uses it as a security buffer zone to kind of scramble and protect the country against unidentified aircraft. Now, the military is telling me that 18 aircraft were spotted on the west coast towards China in the middle of the Taiwan Strait, and another 15 were spotted below here down south in between the waterway of Taiwan and the Philippines, which is further down south. The military is also reporting that one Chinese helicopter was spotted on the east coast, east of Taidong City here in Taiwan. And they say that a helicopter in that area usually means that a Chinese warship was operating in the area, as that would be the only way that a helicopter could get so deep into the Pacific. Taiwan's military says that in response to these exercises, they scrambled their own aircraft and naval assets and also deployed coastal defense systems just in case those aircraft get too close to the country's borders. Back to you.
Thanks for the update, Jaime. Taiwan's Military Affairs Council is warning people to be careful when traveling in China after 8 retired military and police staff were detained there in the past year.
他们是要掌握当事人在任职期间的工作啦，同事啊，人脉网络，也不排除他们在留置调查的时候，趁机拉拢、吸收为中共工作。
The council is responsible for handling relations with China. It says there have been multiple cases of retired military personnel trying to recruit others to work for Beijing in recent years. It's urging former service members to be on guard while in China. The number of young children killed or injured in road accidents in Taiwan has risen by 27% in the past 3 years. As Irene Lin reports, it's highlighting a lack of protection for young pedestrians and passengers on the country's roads.
Once the whistles blow and the flags are raised, traffic halts. These unsung heroes in neon vests are volunteers at Jinhua Elementary School in Taipei. They're here every morning at these intersections leading to the school to control traffic. Their leader, Yang Lingling, has taken on this duty for 25 years. She says cars and motorcycles can be reckless, and some drivers don't follow instructions.
这边的车子你已经挡下，他还是冲过去啊，但是我们就要眼明手快啊，看他的我已经挡了啊，但是那车子还要冲，那我就不能吹哨子放小孩子过了。你开出来就过啊，你开出来你就过啊。
The children protected by volunteers at Young are the most vulnerable, yet often overlooked group on the road. Last year, close to 12,000 children under 12 were killed or injured on Taiwan streets, the highest in 16 years. That's up 27% growth compared to 3 years ago. The school puts up barricades on both sides of the street during rush hour. Parents think the school and its volunteers keep the school zone fairly safe, but the surrounding roads are still dangerous, and kids cannot let their guards down.
我觉得孩子的观念也真的要注意自己的安全，因为他们一边看手机，这样过马路很危险。
如果标示不明显的话，其实小孩子如果稍微不注意，或者车子不注意，那就会很容易产生一些纠纷，而且如果产生那种碰撞，其实更危险。这样。
Traffic volunteers are not supposed to play the role of traffic lights, but many roads in the city lack the guidance drivers and pedestrians need.
Intersections like this one are everywhere in the country, especially in a densely populated and compact city like Taipei. Because the crosswalks are fairly short, no traffic lights were installed. But that means for the kids and their parents taking this route to school over there, every crossing is a gamble.
Since Taiwan was called a quote-unquote living hell for pedestrians in a 2022 CNN article, the government has tightened the rules meant to keep them safe. Cars now must yield to pedestrians on crosswalks and avoid driving or parking on sidewalks. Existing regulations also require children to wear helmets on motorcycles and use child safety seats in cars. But there is an oversight. Most adults only go through driver's license tests once in their lifetime, without periodic training unless they received a number of warnings. Without enough education for adults, some NGOs say the laws are more reactive than preventive.
我们的驾驶人或是成人，大部分会知道交通的讯息都是在被罚钱之后。但是现在有一个状况，就是你罚钱，你缴罚金哦，大概不到1秒就结束了。就是你便民嘛，你去便利商店哔哔，你就结束了这个痛苦。
That's why the organization Xu Yaren leads is pushing to add road safety courses to the national curriculum. They believe children need positive influences to protect themselves, both as passengers and pedestrians, and even pass what they've learned onto their family. And she says they've seen clear results in the school kids they worked with.
这个孩子的妈妈因为急着出门，所以忘记带她的安全帽。结果这个宝贝呢，竟然当天不愿意上她妈妈的车，希望她妈妈可以回家把她的安全帽带来，她才愿意被妈妈载回家。对，所以其实我们影响孩子是很受到激励的，因为其实孩子的改变是非常的明显的。
But beyond developing traffic literacy early on, transportation scholar Zheng Zurui says children should not have to bear the costs of irresponsible driving in the first place.
Instead of teaching kids how to protect themselves for being a vulnerable user on the street, I think that's a little bit unjust, if I may put it that way. So it should be a universal education program to teach everyone.
With her first-hand experience on the road every day, Yang says children are taking in what they've learned, but parents must also set a good example to reinforce good habits among children.
你跟他讲说，现在是停的时候，你就带着小孩子，你就停下来嘛，对不对？那如果说你不愿意，那将来小孩子就会想说，我爸爸都可以过了，为什么我为什么不能过？
Regardless of the approach to road safety education, the consensus is that more needs to be done to protect children, and that children and adults should both be part of the solution. Klein Wang and Irene Lin for TaiwanPlus.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has left Vietnam after a whirlwind trip to bolster ties in Asia. Putin signed security deals with both Hanoi and Pyongyang, prompting Seoul to respond with a new drastic measure. Rosie Greninger reports.
With a handshake, Russian President Vladimir Putin seals a deal to bolster defense ties with his Vietnamese counterpart Tu Lam while on a visit to Hanoi. Vietnam was Putin's second stop in a whirlwind trip to Asia, seen as a show of defiance to the West, who have attempted to isolate the Russian leader amid his country's war in Ukraine. While in Hanoi, the Russian president spoke out against the NATO military alliance, saying it's a danger to Asia.
Мы видим, что в Азии происходит, правда? Блоковая система сколачивается в Азии. Уже НАТО туда переезжает, как на постоянное место жительства. И это, конечно, создает угрозы для всех стран региона, в том числе и для Российской Федерации. Но мы на это обязаны реагировать и будем это делать. Вам большое спасибо. Всего самого хорошего.
Putin's comments come after countries like Japan, South Korea, Australia and New Zealand received security information from the alliance in the face of a growing threat from China. While in Vietnam, the Russian leader also signed several agreements for energy and education and agreed to boost cooperation in security and defence. Vietnamese President Tu Lam said these deals would contribute to peace and security in the region.
Việt Nam nhất quán coi Liên bang Nga là một trong những đối tác quan trọng hàng đầu, mong muốn cùng Nga phát triển mối quan hệ hữu nghị truyền thống lâu đời và hợp tác tốt đẹp giữa các thế hệ lãnh đạo và nhân dân hai nước.
Before Vietnam, the Russian president was welcomed to North Korea with pomp and ceremony on his first visit to the pariah state in more than 2 decades. The landmark meeting with leader Kim Jong-un saw the two countries sign a comprehensive strategic partnership, strengthening military and economic cooperation. This includes providing immediate military assistance if either state faced armed aggression. The US criticised the deal, while South Korea said any help to strengthen Pyongyang's military is a violation of the UN Security Council resolutions. Seoul also slapped additional sanctions on Moscow and has reopened discussions about aiding Ukraine in the conflict with Russia.
그리고 우크라이나에 대한 무기 지원 문제는 재검토할 예정입니다.
Putin says that if South Korea does take that step, it would be a, quote, big mistake, and threatened Russia would respond. But as he returns to Moscow with 2 new deals under his belt, the Russian president is confident he's found new partners in the face of tough Western sanctions due to the war in Ukraine. Dolphine Chen and Rosie Greninger for TaiwanPlus.
Coming up after the break, blue to red, a stark picture of how the planet is heating up on Show Your Stripes Day.
To have a place where you're appreciated for you exactly as you are as an LGBT person is really, really special.
Crazy, fun, but educational because this is all for one cause.
And the cause is stand with diversity for this year, correct?
We have so many different categories that we excel at.
Oh my God! I am beyond thrilled!
Being myself is enough. Like, they chose you obviously for a reason.
You can just celebrate your lives, celebrate yourself.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. For more stories from here in Taiwan, please download the TaiwanPlus app.
Welcome back. The U.S. says it will speed up deliveries of air defense systems to Ukraine by pausing orders to other countries. U.S. National Security spokesperson John Kirby says that delivery of Patriot and NASAMS air defense systems to Ukraine will not impact Taiwan's orders. Taiwan is waiting on 400 missiles and 4 NASAMS. It faces a $19 billion backlog in arms orders, raising concerns about the strain on the U.S. defense industry. The U.S. and the Philippines are wrapping up month-long military exercises. As Jaime Ocan reports, they've been practicing how to conduct precision strikes in the waters around the northern Philippines.
A row of advanced U.S. fighter jets takes off from the Philippines. For the past 3 weeks, the two allies have been conducting large-scale military exercises in the Philippines' north, aimed at controlling the skies. U.S. commanding officers say the goal of these drills, known as MASA 2024, is to reaffirm the U.S.'s commitment to security in the region.
It's important to remember that we've been exercising together, shoulder to shoulder in the past. We are exercising together today, and we will be exercising together in the future to assure our shared commitment to peace and security.
In recent years, neighboring China has stepped up its naval presence in the region, operating ships around Taiwan and in the South China Sea on a daily basis. That's why the U.S. and the Philippines are conducting drills in the North Luzon province, as its location is strategic to both countries in a potential conflict.
The Philippines offers a very advantageous position within that region of the world, South China Sea, right? And likewise, planes, ships, and missiles from northern Luzon, which is the Philippine island there, could really deny that area and control that.
One element of these drills simulates how the U.S. and the Philippines would coordinate a precision strike on an enemy ship. Working with allies on the ground and in the air, soldiers try to locate a target somewhere in the ocean. In this drill, they're using a small box made of wood and concrete. Once they locate the box, the U.S. then tells the Philippines to strike the target.
Hearing that all the conditions are met, the request for target authority clearance is gathered. Thank you.
The U.S. is hoping to teach the Philippines how to conduct advanced operations like this one, as it moves to play a bigger role in maintaining security in the region.
The Philippine military has been focused so much on countering insurgents and terrorism that they've somewhat neglected the need for territorial defense and hiring capabilities. So that's the two big takeaways that the United States and the Philippines are trying to get away from exercises like MASA.
As the Philippines and the U.S. look to deepen security cooperation and continue practicing how to work together, they're aiming to show how something as small as a box in the middle of the ocean can also become a target. James Lin and Jaime Ocan for TaiwanPlus.
Friday is Show Your Stripes Day, a time to raise awareness about how quickly our planet is heating up. Each year, the UK's University of Reading adds another stripe to a chart showing the global temperature difference from a historic average. Nearly every region's stripes have turned from mainly blue to red, showing the huge amount of warming in recent decades. People and landmarks display their stripes to encourage action against the climate crisis, which is driving extreme weather disasters. For more about why the campaign is important for Taiwan, our reporter Sally Jensen spoke with Jane W. Wang, a well-being activist and educator.
So today is Show Your Stripes Day, and everyone's wearing climate stripes and they're on buildings around the world. Why do you think it's important to have this visualization of global heating?
But I think heating especially is something that people can feel. So I think the visual part perhaps gets people intrigued. Some people might be curious about what those stripes mean, and that could end up linking them with what they're already experiencing, which is the record heat.
We can see the differences between regions and even cities, and you can see from the deep red that Taiwan's experiencing more drastic temperature rise than the rest of the world. How aware do you think the average Taiwanese person is?
I don't think people in Taiwan are honestly that aware, I feel, of climate change. Of course, there's a small subset of people, but overall, I feel Taiwan is very dominated, in the news at least, by issues with China, to the detriment of issues that affect our daily lives also, issues like housing, like the climate crisis. There are also a lot of people, such as in Taipei, I feel, that are still cocooned by it to some extent. They might only feel that it's a bit hotter than they're used to, but it doesn't impact their daily lives yet.
Do you think the Show Your Stripes campaign is targeting the right audience and doing what it's meant to do?
There's a risk of greenwashing, as lots of initiatives can be, where it's just a one-day thing that gets people to sell more things, essentially. Maybe more fashion that has these stripes, or, gimmicky kind of. Corporations are very brilliant at co-opting and at greenwashing at this point. So I would say that it's important to become really conscious of all the efforts that are out there that are supposedly environmental, really educate ourselves as to what the sources are, and what the motivations are, and what the effects are, before we necessarily glomp onto anything.
That was Jane W. Wang, a well-being activist and educator based in Taipei. One of the world's top judokas is determined to bring a gold medal home to Taiwan. Our reporter Sandy Chi met judo sensation Yang Yongwei at a training center before the Summer Games.
"尽你的所能，然后去上场，然后不要给自己压力太大，然后不管输赢，就是我很享受在这个过程。"
Words of encouragement from Taiwan's top judo athlete to himself. That's the attitude he's taking with him to his second Olympic appearance in Paris later this year. 26-year-old Yang Yongwei is from the indigenous Taiwan community. He's an Olympic silver medalist, an Asian Games champion, and a top-ranked judoka in the world in his weight category. He has shattered numerous records for Taiwan. His silver medal at the Tokyo Olympics in 2021 was Taiwan's first ever in the sport. This summer, he's looking to make history once again in Paris as Taiwan's first judo gold medalist.
每一场的训练都是很关键的，因为很有可能这东西是你可能没有去注意到的，很有可能在那比赛场上就会发生。
Yang was born in southern Taiwan. He began practicing judo in 3rd grade with the help of his mother, who also did the sport when she was young. From an early age, he has always dreamed of winning Olympic gold, a goal he nearly realized at the Tokyo Summer Games. He won silver in the men's 60-kilogram category, narrowly losing out to Takato Naohisa of Japan.
其实大家都会觉得好可惜哦，就差那么一点点，甚至是就是明明已经胜券在握，但是就是又错失了这个机会。其实我觉得就是这样，比赛就是这样子，尤其是我们在比赛场上的变化性很大。那大家可能会觉得很可惜，但是我比任何人都还想要赢。
Yang's debut in Tokyo turned him into an internet sensation overnight. Fans poured into his social media pages, mostly from Taiwan and Japan. His loyal internet following has since become a source of strength.
尤其是失败的时候，很挫折的时候，看到这些加油声，真的会觉得还好有这些人在。
At the 2023 Asian Games in China, he bagged his very first gold, which was also Taiwan's 100th gold in the event.
我想，这部分的话，可能是永伟最好的一个最好的武器，就是他的比赛的一个过程的体能跟他的一个适应的能力。
Fueled by his dream and supported by his family and fans, Yang is determined to succeed. For him, failure is part of the process. And rankings mean nothing in the face of stiff competition. It all comes down to one thing: how he's feeling on the day of the competition.
因为在比赛的那个张力下，每个人都是各个都有机会，但是没有人就是没有人有把握，所以就是你当下那个状态是很重要的。
The nation will be watching as Yang steps into the ring in Paris, eagerly anticipating Yang making history once again. Justin Wu, Leslie Liao, and Sandy Chi in Kaohsiung for TaiwanPlus.
Visit the TaiwanPlus website for more of our profiles on the country's Olympic hopefuls. Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, today, check out these yogis at New York Times Square celebrating the summer solstice. I'm Betty Chen. Take care and see you next time.